Hey everyone, we're in week 6 already, chapter 6 of criminal justice ethics. In this chapter, we're studying the titled chapter "Using Ethical Dilemmas in Training Police." I want to say again, in most courses, I teach matters of law, so this one's a little different. Make sure you understand that some of the things we discuss are not violations of law, but they may be an ethical issue that's involved. So be sure to distinguish between the two. Some of the things I want you to take away from this chapter this week are to understand the advantages of training police officers through the use of officer submitted ethical dilemmas. Also, I want you to recognize the types of dilemmas that officers identify as important ethical considerations to them. Recognize the types of ethical considerations that are rarely faced by officers. Explore methods of teaching ethics in a way that develops problem solving skills. And lastly, to identify the concept of test a line. Test a line. Um, okay, you're a police officer, you're a police detective, and you're investigating a case involving the disappearance of a young woman. All investigators seem to lean toward the possibility of foul play. During the investigation, you learn that your niece has begun dating the missing woman's ex boyfriend, who is the main person of interest in the case. Should you warn your niece? What if you do and the suspicion is wrong? What if you disclose the information and the boyfriend is guilty and the disclosure jeopardizes the case? Man, this is a good one. What do you do? What do you do here? So what's the ethical? As far as a matter of law? Then what's the ethically correct thing to do? Ethics, and this is the reason when we present things like this. This is an interesting thing to when matters of law cross with ethics and how police officers and investigators and people in this field of work have a little bit different way that they have to look at their job. So where does your principle of duty lie? That's what you got to look at first. Should you protect your niece, protect the investigation, protect the rights of the suspect, or adhere to the canons of principal ethics? And we'll talk about that a little later. The canons of police ethics would say to keep quiet unless revealing the information is necessary in the performance of duty. So it's going to put your duty first to the police department. Police work is tough. We know what discretion is. It's simply the authority to decide between two or more choices. Obviously, all ethical dilemmas involve making choices, but never confuse discretion with the ability to change the rule of law. If your decision breaks any criminal law, never think about doing it. Know your department's policy book, as many policies are different. Understand what duty is. It is a required behavior or action. Your duty will always be to protect the citizens that you serve. I guarantee you that. Understand dilemmas involving loyalty versus whistleblowing. Officers must decide what to do when faced with the wrongdoing of other police officers. And I think you see this a lot in the news today. I'll tell you now, if you're new to a department and you try to tell on every minuscule violation, you won't go far. At the same time, if you see something that is harmful to others, you have a duty to report that act. Loyalty among police officers is strong, but never confuse loyalty with duty to report. The subject of gratuities is hard to ignore in any criminal justice ethics class. Many people disagree on gratuities. Some say police officers should never accept a gratuity, and gratuities are incipient corruptors because people expect different treatment when they give a gratuity to an officer. People also argue that gratuities create a public perception that police are corrupt. On the other hand, it's argued that educators and academics distort the seriousness of gratuities. I'd say follow your department's guidelines here. Also, don't confuse gratuities with bribery. They're not the same. If if I'm eating at Waffle House and a mother sends her 8-year-old son up to pay for my meal because her son wants to be a police officer when he grows up, I'd hate to crush that kid's spirit by refusing that gratuity. And there's no expectation of anything in return. It's not a bribe. To wrap things up, always use common sense and remember, as a police officer, you'll be put in situations that require discretion. So never put yourself in a spot that violates your policy or even worse, violates the law. Someone once said, if it feels wrong, it is wrong. Now, here we discuss, I've given a lot of my opinion, and I try not to do that, but I've inserted my opinion in this chapter. Um, but with ethics, it's just a gray area. And again, I want you to understand there's a difference in ethics and law. So I know there's a million questions out there. If you're listening to this and what you read, and especially if you've never been a police officer and you're new to this, I know there's questions. So let me know if you need anything, and have a great week. Thank you.